If you told me that the best game of the whole MLB season would be at the end, I wouldn't have believed you. But the season is over, and a couple of teams have snuck into the playoffs that nobody expected at the beginning of the year. So we're going to break down exactly who made the World Series and who you guys should be betting on. Not literally, because if you guys bet on somebody wrong because I said it, well, I'm not going to be held accountable. So if you like this, I do stuff like this, subscribe. But with the theme of the channel, we gotta keep it like a game show. So let's spin our wheel to see who we're talking about first. Our first team, the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians being one of those teams that not a lot of people expected to sneak into the playoffs. And the main reason is some of the star power on the offense and the bullpen. The bullpen is probably the best pen I have ever seen in my life. Emmanuel Clase has a under 1 ERA. Yes, under 1. He is a .61 ERA, making a case for Cy Young as a closer. Now, the rest of the bullpen is also incredible. Cade Smith, 1.91 ERA, Hunter Gaddis, 1.57, Tim Herron, 1.92, and Nick Sadlin at a 3.75. The bullpen is extremely strong on this team. My concern for this team a little bit, however, is the starting rotation. Even though there are some concerns with the starting rotation, over the last 28 days, the starting rotation has been very solid. Bibe with a 2.64 ERA, Lively with a 3.15, and Gavin Williams with a 4.56. Some of their starters have been playing very good baseball as of lately. However, are they going to be able to keep it up when it comes to the postseason? And the batting, good as it always usually is. Jose Ramirez continuing to be somebody who doesn't age in this league. David Fry is an emerging great DH. Stephen Kwan doing the same thing as always, hitting for high average. Josh Naylor, a pretty solid bat. Bo Naylor, solid bat. Andres Jimenez, a good fielder and solid bat. However, over the last 28 days, the batting has been a little bit stale, only averaging a .682 OPS. Does this concern me? No, not at all. I think Cleveland is a dangerous team, and they're honestly one of my favorites to go to the World Series this year. So don't look down on Cleveland now, because they're going to go in and shock some people. That the fact that they have a little bit of a bye might help, but also can hurt at the same time. So we'll see what happens. Time for our second team, which is the Astros. The Houston Astros. Are we really surprised they're here? No, not really. This team is a wagon every single season, led by always the same people: Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, and Alex Bregman. This team is always good, and they brought in a couple of guys over the season. They brought in Josh Hader, who hasn't really lived up to his hype so far, and they kept Justin Verlander around. Justin Verlander is going to be one of the reasons that they may struggle in the postseason this year. Verlander has had a 5.48 ERA this year, and over the last 28 days, he's had a 9.26 ERA, which is kind of making the ERA for the rest of this team over the last 28 days pretty brutal. Hunter Brown had a 3.13, Kikuchi had a 2.88, Framber had a 1.73, and and Ronel Blanco with a .95. The starting rotation has been very good over this last month, and I think going into this series, they are going to take care of business. And the hitting is just continuing to be ridiculously good. Now there's more guys besides those top names contributing. Chas McCormick is starting to pick it up as well. John Singleton is hitting. Jason Hayward emerging from nowhere. Yanir Diaz also hitting. Another thing to talk about with this team is that the bullpen is quite inconsistent. Yes, this bullpen is very capable, but it can be prone to lapses, especially in these high-stress scenarios. And they've also shown some vulnerability in their defensive game, which, you can't let those kinds of things happen, especially in the postseason. But at the end of the day, with this offense, the strong pitching, and the load of postseason experience, I think they're going to make it quite a deep run this season. Time for our next team. We got the Yanks. The New York Yankees have gotten the 1 seed in the AL, and mainly because of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Aaron Judge obviously leading the league in home runs with a whopping 58. And Juan Soto helping carry the load with another 41 home runs. they have accounted for over 250 RBIs on the team, and this team is very, very good. Stanton also contributes with power, which gives a lot of home run threats in the middle of the lineup. The pitching depth is also pretty solid. Rodon and Cole have been pitching quite well over the last 30 days. Cortez as well, he's been dealing. However, Stroman has been struggling, and Luis Gil hasn't been as good as he was at the beginning of the season. So I think that they need to get some of these other guys going. If they're only having 3 guys carrying the load on this pitching staff, it's not going to be sustainable. Sadly, Cortez is on the IL, which is a massive loss considering he was rolling. But that just means they're going to have to rely on another arm. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the bullpen. And the problem with this bullpen is Clay Holmes, because he is way too inconsistent. For a closer, you can't rely on him. He's had way too many ups and downs at the back end of the season. For a preview of this team, they have to keep hitting the ball, and some of these other guys in the lineup have to make a step up. I'm talking to you, Volpe. But as always, they should be able to make a pretty solid run. The pitching staff just needs to do a job, and the bullpen needs to do their part. But besides that, if everything goes well, this team is going to be very hard to take down, especially with that star power in the middle of the lineup. Next team. The Kansas City Royals. They made the playoffs. If you told me that was going to be a situation at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have believed you, and I probably would have laughed in your face. But I also wouldn't have expected Bobby Witt to lead the AL in batting average. This dude is fighting with Aaron Judge, who's hit 58 home runs for AL MVP. He not single-handedly, but he is a major reason why this team is in the postseason. Him and Seth Lugo have been the game changers on this roster. And Salvador Perez just not aging is also massive for this team. The pitching staff on this team is incredible. I think that if they're going to make it anywhere, it's going to be because of this pitching. Lugo, Waka, Singer, Reagans, all are balling as of lately. This team has been very, very good. However, the bullpen has been really, really bad. The bullpen is a mess, and I feel like that's going to be the game changer for some of these games. This offense might not score a ton of runs if Bobby Witt isn't producing. There are other guys that can get the job done, but a lot of it carries on Bobby Witt Jr.'s shoulders. So I don't really know how confident I am in this team. This inexperience is going to be kind of a problem for this team as well, and the offense is just too inconsistent. They can hit for power, but there's just no consistency because they rely on home runs a lot, which is very risky. So even though this team has a very young core and solid pitching, it's going to be a fun team to watch, but I don't think they're going to be able to go very far. Spinner. My God, are we going to do every single AL team? I have these laid out too. Alright, time for the Orioles. I honestly can't even believe that this team is this good. I predicted them to make the playoffs last year, and they did. Yet they made the 1 seed. On top of that, they're still as good as they were. And that's because of players like Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Santander, and Corbin Burns. These guys are the reason this team is playing very well. Gunnar Henderson has been absolutely incredible this year, slashing .281 average with an .893 OPS. After his last 30 days, he's hit .308 with a .914 OPS. And Santander, might not be hitting for high average, but he has 44 home runs on the season, which I feel like not a lot of people are looking at. Some of these gaps in the batting order, though, have been keeping it up. But for me, are some of these young guys going to be able to keep up? Rutschman has kind of fallen off a little bit, and Jackson Holliday has got to get going sometime soon. But all things aside, this team is going to continue to fight in the playoffs, but just based off their matchup, I don't know how it's going to end. Because playing this Royals team, they're going to have to out-hit them. It's as simple as that. So are they going to have enough bats to, get it done? The pitching is incredible. Burns, Povich, Suarez, Kramer, all have been great. And Eflin as well, have all been very good over these last 30 days. This pitching staff I am not concerned about. And the bullpen, keeps doing what the bullpen usually does. So the thing is, are they going to stay consistent? they have to stay consistent to make a push somewhere. And once again, this is only their second time making the playoffs with this roster. So they have very low experience in these high-stake games. So this team is going to be fun to watch. I really want to see them make a deeper push than they did last year. But I feel like after the divisional round, it's very possible for this team to get outclassed. But because of this young talent and the improved pitching depth, it's very possible this team can make a deep run as well. Spinner, spinner, spinner. Finally, we get a team that's not in the AL. The Brewers are once again winners of the NL Central, mainly because of the pitching staff. But there is one concern with this pitching staff. Over the last 30 days, they haven't been pitching very well. Yes, that might not be, a huge thing to harp on. However, I do find it somewhat important. But the thing is, over the last 7 days, they had a 2.38 ERA as a team. And they're going to be playing a team that they took care of business with over this season. Freddie Peralta is the ace of this team, with solid arms behind him as Colin Rea, Tobias Myers, Savali, and Frankie Montes. Trevor McGill has been very good in the pen, and it's all about, is the bullpen going to be able to get these outs? Like, how long are they going to be able to run these starters to put them into a position where they can win the game? The batting is good as it has been. And with emergences like Jackson Chourio and William Contreras, Garrett Mitchell, those are the massive reasons why this team is scoring runs. Rhys Hoskins as well, doing very good with his bat, but that's no surprise. But the thing is, are some of these other guys that are getting tons of at-bats going to be able to step up? Like Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, and Bryce Turang. That's the main thing with this team. A lot of their star-studded lineup is the main focus on this team. But the offense is very inconsistent at the same time. They don't have that kind of firepower as other teams like the Dodgers. But with their pitching, I think it's very possible to get through and, maybe go to the divisional round. But knowing their playoff mishaps and history, I don't know what's going to happen with this team. They'll probably choke again, which would be nice considering I'm a Mets fan. So let's hope for that. Spinner, nothing. Spin it. Spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it. Phillies. The Phillies are an interesting team because this team consists of high-power offense led by bats of Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto, and obviously Nick Castellanos. This team rakes, and everybody knows it. The pitching staff is also very solid, led by Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. But the thing is, over the last 28 days, the pitching has not been very good. Taijuan Walker and Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola have all been struggling. That's a massive problem, because if they can't get those guys going, they're going to have to rely on their hitting so much. And once they start facing teams with good pitching, who knows if that's even sustainable. But this is the Phillies that we are talking about, so have no concern for this team at all. As long as the pitching is doing what they need to do, I think they will be perfectly okay. And the bullpen has also been very solid, led by Matt Strahm, Jeff Hoffman, and Orion Kikurig. It's a very good bullpen, and if they have those guys that they know they can go to, I don't really find there being a problem with the pen. But as of lately, it's more about the starters. Who is going to get the job done? Obviously, Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez. But what about Nola, Suarez, and Walker, especially Taijuan Walker? Can you really even rely on him? You're pretty much tossing a game away. And in the postseason, you can't afford that. So the offense is going to have to pick up a lot of slack, at least 3 games from this pitching staff, because the pitching staff can be a little bit brutal besides those top 2. As of recording, I've got a notification that Pete Rose has passed away. Rest in peace to one of the best hitters and players in baseball of all time. That is just a very tough thing to see on such a nice day for MLB fans. It's just a tough thing to see on such a nice day for MLB fans. But just thank him for everything he's done for the game and being one of the biggest legends ever. Thank you, Pete Rose. Rest in peace. Next team is the Braves. The Atlanta Braves once again making the playoffs. Let's not act surprised here. Always making the playoffs, even without Ronald Acuna. Now, this team is a wagon. This team is very good, even without their best player. Matt Olson is hitting with a 1+ OPS over the last 30 days. Michael Harris has picked it up with a 9.65. Jorge Soler and Marcell Ozuna also slashing along with Roman Laureano. Ozuna has hit 39 home runs this year. Yes, that is correct. And a 302 batting average. He is absolutely raking this year. And Chris Sale is probably going to win Cy Young for the NL. This team is very good, and there's just no doubting it. The power hitting is unbelievable on this team, and they have one of the best teams in the league. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a World Series push again this year, even though they're a wild card team. This team is going to continue to be good, and just because they're a wild card team does not mean they're bad. This team is going to hit, they're going to hit for power, and they're going to make you earn every second of the game. Everybody just saw what happened in this Mets and Braves game. They didn't go down without a fight. Neither did the Mets. So this team is going to be very exciting to watch in the playoffs. And honestly, I think they're going to take down the Padres in this wild card matchup. Next team is the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers have made the postseason. Kind of crazy, considering they had an 11% chance at some point in August to make the playoffs. Now they're actually here. And the main reason being Tariq Skubal, which is going to be the AL Cy Young. He has been absolutely dominant this year. He has had a 2.39 ERA and 228 strikeouts. That is unbelievable amounts. He's averaging 10.7 strikeouts per 9, and he's the reason why this team is going where they are. Every time he goes on that mound, it's almost guaranteed to be a win. However, some of the rest of the starting rotation is a little bit mid. The rest of the starting rotation hasn't been doing very well over these last 30 days. And, you can't just rely on one pitcher throughout these playoffs. They're going to be a fun team to watch, but I don't think they're going anywhere. Tariq Skubal will probably get them the first game just because of how dominant he's been, but I don't know what I can exactly expect out of this team. The batting has been very good as well, though. Kerry Carpenter, Jace Jung, Riley Green, and Parker Meadows have absolutely been raking this season. Don't forget Colt Keith, because he's been very solid too. This team doesn't hit for a lot of power, but they're going to get hits when they need them. But at the end of the day, this is not a team that I think is going to get very far just because of the depth in the starting rotation. The bullpen is great, but the starting rotation is just not deep enough to make a deep push, or maybe even a push to the divisional round. Maybe if they get lucky, but this is not a team I'd be betting my money on. Next team is the Padres. The San Diego Padres are also a very good hitting team this year, mainly because of a rookie. Yes, a rookie, Jackson Merrill. He's hitting with a 911 OPS and a 316 batting average. And then obviously other guys doing what they usually do. Tatis raking, Machado raking, Jerson Profar having a masterclass of a season like everybody expected. And then Luis Arias hitting for the highest batting average in the league. No shocker there. The pitching has also been very good over the season. They also got Dylan Cease during the offseason, which has been a pretty solid pickup. Him, Michael King, and Musgrove, along with Darvish, have all been very good over this last month. I'm very excited to see, where this team ends up going, and I think they have a very good shot at making a deep push. But don't forget this bullpen, too. This bullpen is very good as well. They're going to come in and be able to shut shit down, and that's no question asked. But is the starting rotation going to stay consistent, especially going against better hitting? And, is the team going to hit the ball more against these harder teams? I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see where this team goes. But going against the Braves, that's going to be a fun series to watch. And I think whatever team makes it out of that matchup is going to go to the NLCS. That's just no question. Oh, all right. Next team is the Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers. The consistent powerhouse of the MLB. Wow, they won the division and the NL? I'm so surprised. On top of that, do you know they have Shohei Ohtani? I don't know if they've mentioned it enough, but he created his own thing. It's called the 54-54 Club, which is 54 home runs and 54 stolen bases. He created the 50-50 Club. That's the first time it's ever been done. He has been a godsend for this team, and honestly, he's the reason they're here. But at the same time, they have other weapons on this team. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Will Smith are all really good bats. But there is a question about this team's pitching. Flaherty, Buer, Yamamoto haven't been great this season. Even though they were viewed to be very good pitchers this year, I just haven't really seen anything out of them. And this is probably what might kill them in the playoffs. Their pitching isn't good enough. And it doesn't matter what the offense does, this is the playoffs. There are going to be other good hitting teams now. You can't just rely on your star-studded offense to win you games. Maybe that you have 3 of the best players in the league, you can, but I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be struggles with this team because of the pitching, especially if they face teams like the Padres or the Braves, because their pitching staffs are very good, and I don't think you can exactly rely on your bats for the whole postseason. It's just not possible. Even though you got these star-studded options like Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, Ohtani can only do so much, and I don't think you can go very far without solid and consistent pitching. I'm out on the Dodgers. I always am, because there's always a problem with this team, and they always lose. So, yeah. And I don't even need to spin the wheel for this one, because next, we got the New York fucking Mets. Want to know what I got to say about the Mets? They're winning the World Series. Am I being delusional? Yes. Am I being serious? No, I'm not. Want to know why they're winning the World Series? Because of this beautiful, beautiful godsend known as Grimace. Mets fans, we praise this man. A sweaty man in McDonald's costume completely changed our season, and a 35-year-old also changed our season. Don't forget Francisco Lindor also carrying this team on his back completely, which will be an easy runner-up for MVP in the NL, and probably would have won it if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani. This team is the definition of a team that won't die. They have so much firepower on this team, and it's not even firepower as in personality and chemistry. This team will do anything for each other. This team will die for each other. Even though they came over a dreadful start in May, 24-35, they have been rolling since. The pitching has been incredible over these last 30 days. Everybody has started picking it up. And the only problem with this team is the bats are super inconsistent, and the bullpen can be quite shaky at times. So, am I really going to go super in deep with this team? I'm not sure, because this team has a lot of young talent like Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, and, the typical names, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, all doing stuff that they need. And then Jose Iglesias, who's been an absolute heaven send, who's hitting over 320 for the Mets. These are things you just can't believe. And this team is something you can't believe. But I don't think I can sell my stock on them making a World Series. I just don't think that they can be consistent enough to even make it that far because of their bullpen and because of the inconsistencies with the bats. Now, here comes the fun part. It's time to fuck over some teams. If you know my NFL preview videos, I tend to screw over teams, and my tie fell off. Oh well. I tend to screw over teams and help them some others at the same time. So the way we're gonna do this is one team is going to get unlucky and one team is going to get lucky. Wanna know how I will do this? We will go by MLB records. So whatever it hits on that dartboard, the number is the team that gets cheesed. So, the team that is going to get screwed over. Here we go. Dart throw. Oh, dude, that's a really good throw. Number almost on the bullseye. The throw was number 8 on the bullseye. And the team that is getting screwed, and because it was in the bullseye, this means that they are going to lose the series in very terrible fashion, is the Atlanta Braves. Let's go. Number 8 record in the MLB is the Atlanta Braves. It landed on 8, hit the bullseye, so sorry Braves fan, but not sorry. Fuck you. And for the team that is going to get lucky during the postseason. Not terribly lucky, but it is on the 7th. so is on the second ring, which means they might win a series or something that is going to help them. Maybe not make the postseason. Maybe not make the World Series, but they might win a round. It was number 7. The Baltimore Orioles are going to win their series. Congrats to the Orioles. Congrats to Orioles fans. Let's hope this sticks. Now it is time for my World Series prediction. Oh man, I want to make this fun. I don't want to go with something obvious. So I do have an idea here. And my World Series prediction is going to be the Astros against my New York Mets. I was thinking the Padres instead of the Mets, but I don't know. I feel like the Padres are more realistic and the Astros are a little too realistic, so I had to throw a team in there that kind of just doesn't make sense, kind of like the Diamondbacks last year. But I'm picking the Astros. That is 100% definite for me. For me, the playoffs is for teams that are hot at the moment. You got to be hot at the right time. And the Astros are rolling. The offense is rolling. The pitching is rolling. Everything is going well. And they don't have a bye either, so they're going to be able to keep their pace going. I think the bye is actually something that hurts teams. So being able to play this week, play tomorrow, or play today as this video is coming out is a perfect opportunity for them to keep their momentum. And the Mets, I think they fit that same thing as well. They have been rolling. They're going to keep playing games. After that game today, there is so much to be excited for. There is so much to play for. You know you got a good team. You know you can compete. You beat one of the best teams in baseball with one of the craziest comebacks. I think that's a realistic, very realistic. But I am going to pick the Astros in the World Series for this prediction. I'll say 6 games. I think the Mets can make it competitive, but once again, I will be disappointed and let down for the second time in my life as a Mets fan. But that will do it for today's video. Let me know if this helps you. Once again, do not do anything for bets based on this video because I don't know shit. Well, I do know stuff, but I don't want to be held accountable for it. So, I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, give me some support somehow. Anything helps, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the MLB playoffs and the shit extravaganza that is ahead. Let's go Mets.